sent out. Get the bot in here and cough a little bit. Show everyone that I'm dying, and then we should be good. So, hello everyone. This is Chris Ingersohn, and it is April 20th, and this is the April 20th TextQuest Devstream. Probably should walk on screen. So, today we are going to be doing custom adventure stuff. Specifically, we're going to be finishing up the work that we started on Tuesday with regards to tooltips and getting tooltips to spawn in correctly. And then we are going to be moving on to streamlining some of the UI a bit and adding tooltips to everything. So, to give you a sense of where we are currently, we currently have a mostly functional setup for our custom game settings menu. It's a little clunky in the sense that it's using the same text as, it's using the same font as the rest of the game, which I did for cohesion's sake, but it's not a font that works very well for, well, showing a lot of information. It's a bit blocky, it's a bit big, so it's hard to really fit tons of information on screen. You can see that when we have large amounts of content that we want to view, it can kind of get a little little difficult to see everything. In fact, a lot of it gets truncated. This probably should be actually aligned left, which would be a little bit better, probably. Oh, ho ho. That is an interesting thing of JSON. Okay. Probably we want to do that. Okay. Let's see if that updates that. Anyway, oh right, and then I forgot these interact with scrolling. So, and then you get stuff like this where it's a little too long. So what I would like to do is I would like to overhaul the custom adventure menus so that they are using a more compact font. I excuse me. I'm not sure coughing. What font I would like to use there. I would prefer to avoid using the default Arial font or the default TextMesh Pro font, which is I forget the name of it off the top of my head. I would like to have something that sort of lines up with at least this more classic text adventure font that I was looking for. And I think I can find something for that. So we're probably not going to redo the menus entirely today, but that is something that I'm thinking of going forward. Just because, in situations like this where you're wanting players to have access to this content, it's important to try and show them as much information as possible without being overwhelming, because, well, that just speeds up their workflow and makes their quality of life a little bit better. So that's kind of the approach that I have going forward. Anyway, for today, you can see that we do have tooltips spawning. They spawn in the correct position no matter what our actual screen size is. So it doesn't matter if we're in maximize on play or not maximize on play, which I guess doesn't really have a good alternative name. It's positioned appropriately because of all the fun math that we're doing now. So one of the things that I would like to do is stop coughing. But the other thing is, I would like to change it up so that instead of just having the tooltips appear where our mouse cursor is, it would be nice if we could get them to appear at a set area around the rect transform of this of the tooltip rect. So, for example, we could, instead of having this appear where my mouse cursor is, we could have it appear like above the label up here. We'd have it appear below the label, and then we could have its pivot be adjusted, its anchors be adjusted, what have you. That is what we're going to be starting off with. And let's go ahead. And probably what we'll end up doing after we get that working on this author label is we'll switch over to showing or adding tooltips to title and description and all that. And probably to these buttons and just all over the place, really. And then actually that'll lead to us. Well, no, that'll probably work okay. So let's go ahead. stop playing. I'm going to turn on my UI, although I don't really need to. Let me select, let's see, that was settings, I believe, custom game, classic mode, create, select, game overview, new game dialog, game map, game room. Where are you? You're somewhere silly, aren't you? Pretty sure it's not this. Let's see, creator label, value label. New game, create, select. Here we are, custom game settings. Okay, why did you not show up in my list here? View, custom game. Oh, I bet this isn't accurate, that's why. Okay, so custom game settings, let's go ahead and drag this up. Let's turn this on so we can see what we're looking at. Start. Okay, and the first thing that we want to do is we want to add, not info, no, it is info. We're going to turn on the root of info here. We're going to go over here to the author. So this is the setup for our current tooltip rect. It basically just goes over this rect transform, and then once the pointer enters it, we can show a tooltip. I have started working on adding values for determining the placement of the actual tooltip, which has actually also, before I forget, turn on coding today because we're going to be doing that, and also design because we're going to be doing that too. So I've actually come up with a couple of customized property drawers for drawing vectors as these slider values. I always enjoy a chance to draw or to create new property drawers because I love making me some attributes. It really makes things flow much better. Okay, so what this is going to do is we will determine how we want to spawn our tooltip. So currently it's defaulting to mouse position, although it's not actually doing anything there. If we choose rect transform, what we would want to have happen is we would want basically the rect transform that we're attached to spawn our tooltip. And then from there, it's going to basically use anchor offsets and pivot offsets, and then an actual offset to place the tooltip. So it's going to be a little weird because we still want to parent the tooltip to the tooltip area. So what we'll do is we'll end up using the parent or this tooltip rect transform to position it, and then we'll probably just switch it over to be parented to the tooltip area. That's going to be the workflow I think we're going to use. So let's go ahead and revert all of this real quick. I'm going to select this again. And what I would like to do is I would like to have the tooltip. So currently tooltip pivot is 0x 1y, which is the top left. I would like the tooltip pivot to be, we'll say 0x 1y, so at the very top left. And we're going to have the anchors min be 0 and 0, and the anchors max be 0 and 0, which means that it's at the bottom left of our tooltip rect. That's what we're going to go for. And then we'll give it an offset of, say, like -10y. It's probably good. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna try to come up with a complicated system that lets me just enter a positive value to make it go negative. That's not great. Okay. So let's go ahead and go into tooltip rect. Oh, and probably while I'm in here, I'll change our fade duration to be like 0.5, or I would, except I have to wait for this to finish compiling for some reason. Okay, so I'm going to make this tooltip fade duration like 0.5, and the tooltip delay probably also 0.5, so a little bit faster. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to check to see what our tooltip is. So here we're going to say switch spawn position. Is that right? Yeah, I guess. Okay. And we're going to say, well, actually, it's only two statements for now, so I'm just going to go ahead and say if spawn position is equal to mouse position, then we're going to do all of this fun stuff. Ooh, which actually means I need to come up to here and do this. Grab this. We're going to put this down here, and I'm going to add an int check for spawn position. Target value is going to be int tooltip spawn method dot mouse position. Okay. So I only want that to show up if this option to show up if spawn position is actually set to be to spawn on mouse. That's all good. Okay. So let's come down here, and then we're going to say else. And here's where it gets interesting. So, crap. That actually changes how I was going to approach this. I was planning on, if we're spawning it based on the rect transform, that we were going to actually parent it to the rect transform, make all of the positioning adjustments that we need to, and then set its parent to be tooltip parent. So, crud. Probably. Boo. Okay. So that means we're going to do this. Paste this here, put that there, come back down to here, and we're going to paste it here, and we're going to be transform. Okay. And from here, we're going to go ahead and say tooltip dot, oh, yeah, actually, we're probably going to want to go to tooltip label, which should be right here. Okay. Probably I'm going to go ahead and say like initialize positioning. Let's see if we can do that. Let's see, hide, show. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say public void initialize position is equal to, that's not correct. Okay, we're going to say vector 2 for pivot, vector 2 anchor min, vector 2 anchor max, and then vector 2 offset. So all of that fun stuff. And then we're going to go ahead and say rect transform dot pivot is equal to pivot, rect transform dot anchor min is equal to anchor min, rect transform dot anchor max is equal to anchor max, and rect transform dot, oh, sorry, right, anchored position is equal to offset. I believe that's what we want. So let's go back here to tooltip rect, and all we're going to say is tooltip dot initialize position, and we'll do all that again. So we'll say pivot, oops, sorry, tooltip pivot, tooltip anchors min, tooltip anchors max, tooltip offset. Okay. And then I believe we'll want to do this, which is tooltip dot set parent, sorry, dot rect transform dot set parent, and then I think it was like tooltip area, tooltip parent, there we go, which probably should actually be, yeah, capital, just in case. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's what we want. Let's see if that works now. So we'll let that compile, and then we'll apply our changes to our view prefab, and then we should be good. Okay. So the expected result here will be that our tooltip spawns directly below our label line to the left of it, um, a line to the bottom of it, with a 10 pixel gap between it, basically. So now we can go to mouse position. You can see that that pops up, which is nice. Let's go ahead and turn that back to rect transform. Probably. It's okay. All right. Let's go ahead and apply. Turn this off. Collapse this. Hit save. And let's play. All right. Click through. Shows, author mode, create, Dunshire. I'm going to go to game settings. That looks correct. Same spot each time. Let's go ahead and live tweak these things. I'm going to turn off maximize on play. Actually, before I do that, let's make sure that it's correct. Cool, it is. Hooray. Live, view container, settings, root, content, menus, info, root, fields. Oh my goodness, there are just too many things in here. All right, we're going to go ahead and set this tab as 0 offset. That, I don't know, it does look like that's it. Okay. So you can see that it's lining up with our rect transform. It's just that we have a lot of white space around us. So that's good. Let's go ahead and adjust our anchors to be 1 so that it's like all the way over to the right. Nice. And we want our pivot. I'm going to make this like 0.5, 0.5. That's going to make it look horrible, but nice, nice. So again, you can see that it's centered at the bottom right. So it's not centered on the cursor because it's not paying attention to that, essentially. Okay, cool. Well, that was nice, quick, and easy to implement. So that always makes me happy. The next thing that we probably want to work on is fading. Could probably be twice as fast again. So let's go ahead and change this to 2.25. Just kind of adjusting to see what good values we have. Oof, that is rough. Let's try smoothing that out at 0.3. That's still too much. It's weird. It like seems. I don't know how to phrase it. It seems like jerky. If we do it at 0.25, it seems like it comes in so fast it doesn't smoothly transition. It like fades in and looks like 3 distinct stages, which is a bit odd to me. But okay, well, cool. So the other benefit of that is it allows us to more accurately position these things. So it means that I can more easily have control over where my tooltips will show up. It means that I don't have to worry about, say, the player hovering way over here, having the tooltip show up and go off screen slightly. I can make sure that basically all of my tooltips on all of my labels are correct. So I think this is a pretty good set of positions for this. Seems about right. We could probably increase the opacity of the background here, honestly. I'm just going to go ahead and bump that up to like 225. Make it a little bit easier to see from the background, maybe even, let's go like 240. Like pretty much almost solid. That's better. Getting a little too much bleed in, I think, from behind here. So. All right. So that looks pretty good, which is nice. So let's go ahead and apply some tooltips to all of our various labels here. Oh, and that is going to be interesting. We're going to have to... So with the constants here, these get populated at runtime, which means that I need to be able to dynamically set these tooltips, which is interesting. And it's also interesting because I probably don't want them to be below it. I probably want them to be to the right, which sucks because that covers off the message. Because the problem is, like, if I make it all below, so anchored and positioned below these, well, it might be okay, actually. It's not too bad. Alright, well, we could try that. Although it'll be funny if we try to scroll. That's going to throw everything off, I'm sure. It should be fine, actually. Alright. So let's go ahead and up here. So these are all protected values right now. I probably... Okay, good. I do have a public string content. That's good. So that means I can't adjust that. Alright. So I think we are good. Pointer enter, pointer exit, tooltip faded. Excuse me. Alright, so all that's working. Let's go ahead and save. And now we can actually start working on the UI. Alright, so turn on this root and this root. So this is all good. I'm going to go ahead and zero that out. I don't think we need it to be 10 or minus 10. Probably I will set our tooltip fade duration to be 0.25. Tooltip delay of 0.5 still seems like a good amount. If it'll actually let me do anything. Ooh, gotta love compilation times. Alright, let's see. Tooltip fade duration 0.25. Let's go ahead and copy this. And I am... That's all good. Go ahead and collapse these. Tooltip offset. I think that's fine. Alright. So let's go ahead and we're going to say... Collapse that. We're going to come back over here. Let's go ahead and paste component as new. So the title is the name of this custom adventure. Okay. Tooltip delay, all that's the same. Same tooltip, spawn position, all that's good. Description gets a little different because this, you'll notice, is pretty big. This description text. So we have a couple of options. One, we could change this so that it's not stretching all the way from the top to the bottom, which probably we'll go ahead and do actually. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say anchor this to the top all the way. Oh, never mind. That didn't go well. Then again, let me see if I can get away with this. Have that be anchored here. Position, we'll give it a pivot of 1. Position of y of 0. And a height of 50, if I had to guess. Except we want a position height of -10. There we go. Okay, so that looks correct. So that's actually pretty good. Let's go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to change this to say optional description for the custom game. Displayed in preview. How do I want to phrase this? Like preview areas for the game, I guess. And previews for the displayed in previews for in preview screens. Okay, so let's go ahead and collapse that, Let's just go ahead and collapse that, collapse all of this, do that, and hit apply. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. We're going to real quick run through that, make sure that it looks right and feels right. And then we'll go on to adding tooltip recs to our settings elements, which is going to be interesting. Oh, and I probably should do it to the tab labels up top too. Start, extras, author mode, create. Let's go ahead and do Dunshire, game settings. Optional description for the custom adventure displayed in preview screens. All right. Displayed in preview and game select screens. That makes sense. Okay, let's go ahead and turn this back on. All right, we're going to bump down to here real quick. I'm going to change this to say displayed in preview and game select screens. Okay, that's good. Let's go ahead and go up to our tabs here. And I'm going to apply new script. This one is going to be anchored all the way to the right, or I'm sorry, to the left, as we have said before. These are going to adjust though as we go. So these are going to be aligned to the left, this is going to be aligned to the center, and these are going to be aligned to the right. Again, just to make sure that they don't go off screen. Let's see here. So for the info button, this will be see info on who created the game and other publishing. Ooh, terrible, but probably good. Who created the game and other publishing. As well as this up real quick. Information. Okay. I think that works fairly well. So see who created the game, as well as other publishing information. Or how about, instead of C, we'll say adjust who create the game, as well as other publishing information. Okay, let's go ahead and say paste component is new. This one is going to be, excuse me, 0.5x, 0.5, 0.5. I think we're good there. Pivot of 0.5. Yep, that's what I want. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and say, for this, we're going to say adjust values for, well, geez, adjust values for preset text prompts that all custom adventures can use. That's not exactly descriptive. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not a great description in the sense that it's a little confusing. All right, we're going to paste component as new here. This is going to be the offset. We're going to go all the way to the ones on these. Okay. So this is going to say adjust what players see when they reach Okay, I think that's pretty good. Although it's a little annoying that I can't clearly see its outline, but I'm assuming it's just there. So it might end up, probably it does actually. Yeah, okay. So all of these will probably, real quick, have a offset of like -10. Maybe -5, just to give us some padding. All right, let's go ahead and save. And for the constants menu, this is where we're going to get into some different values. So we have our ID label. Let's go ahead and grab this. This is going to be interesting. We're going to go ahead and apply a new component to this. Spawn position is going to be 0. Pivot is going to be 0.5 on all of these for the Y. 0.5, 0.5. And the anchor is going to be 1. Okay. And let's see here. So that's all good. Go ahead and get rid of that. And we'll give it an offset of like 5. Okay. So let's go ahead. String constant field. I'm going to hit save there. We're going to go ahead and open this up because we're going to need to add a reference to that. So we're going to say serialize field, tooltip, private, what is it? Tooltip rack. Oh, hello. Using HF, not HFN, that's work. Sleepyowl.common. Tooltip racked. Tooltip is equal to no. Make this more in line with my stuff. This is going to be tooltip information for this constant field. I guess I can just call it this field. Let's go ahead and add tooltips here. Tooltip. Label for this constant ID. Input for this constant value, I guess. Okay. And that's probably fine for now. Oh, wait. I almost forgot. It's important that I actually be able to access that, which means that we're going to go ahead and say public tooltip rect tooltip get return tooltip rect. Oops. Tooltip. Okay. And let's go ahead and let that compile. The why I did that when I need to find all references here. Constants menu. Okay. So for this, we have to apply. Oh dear. Oh dear. Custom contents. Constants. Count. Oi. Oi, oi, oi. Let's go ahead and peek this. Yeah, okay. Oh, you know what? That actually makes more sense. Okay. Let's peek this definition. So I could probably add tooltip information to string constant. Peek definition. This is system.serializable. Okay. Let's go ahead and say public string tooltip is equal to this. Let's go ahead and make that a text. Oops. Oh, is that not a thing? Oh, right. Okay, hold on. Using Unity Engine. Text area 2 and 3. Okay. So let's go ahead and close that. And then in initialize, we'll go to definition here. So we don't need this anymore. Instead, I can simply say tooltip.content is equal to constant.tooltip. Okay. Also, hello, Dustin. Welcome back. How you doing today? All right. So let's let that compile. Which sucks because I'm going to have to like drag this into the main area here to apply my changes. All right. So we have all of the info view set up for tooltips. We have the buttons at the top set up for tooltips. So this should, in theory, set them all up to support tooltips in our constants. And then we'll have to add stuff for our endgame. Doing all right. That's good. Trying to figure out how to set up some build automation with Jenkins. Yeah, that's something that I kind of looked at work a while back, but we never actually got around to implementing anything like that. So I wish I could help you there, but it is a cool it is a very interesting process from what I remember. Hello, Gaming Frame. How are you doing today? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and real quick drag this out to here. We're gonna click on this, and we're gonna drag. Oh, stop that! We're gonna drag this over to here. Cool. That's all we gotta do, pretty much. Oh, I suppose I could probably give it a set width. I'll just give it an arbitrary width of like 150 and a height of 50. Okay, still not long enough, huh? Oh, right, that makes sense. 500. That's a little bit better. Let's just go all the way. 800 and a height of like 75. There we go. So let's go ahead and apply those changes. Zero that out. Okay. We're going to go ahead and come down to constants. String constant field. Oh, right, it's from the custom game sessions. So we'll just go ahead and turn this off, and then we should be able to apply. Let's go ahead and turn these off, hit save, and I think custom game author session, custom game string constants, and custom contents. So do I want both of these things? Yes, I don't care about frack. Dang you. Past Chris trying to be all fancy. Just did your own stream? Nice. Hope it went well. It's mostly just integrating with GitHub. That's being a pain. Really? I would have thought that GitHub would actually not be that bad. But then again, I haven't actually tried integrating anything into GitHub yet. It's been something I've been curious about, though. So, doing more meme streams and sometimes game streams. it happens, I suppose. Anyway, so yeah, this backfired horribly. I tried to be fancy and use a reorderable list, and now I have to add onto this to make it actually draw properly, because of course I do. So let's go ahead and double click on this. We're going to double click, and we're going to go to the custom property drawer for this. I am really hoping that I did this in the least lazy way possible, and yes, I did. Whew. Good. Okay. So that means that I need to do this, and I'm very much hoping that, oh man, that's gonna suck. Draw element. I think we'll be fine. Okay. So let's go ahead, go back to here. I'm gonna find all references. Custom property drawer here. Okay. So we need to change this a little bit. We're going to go ahead and say override get property height. We're going to go ahead and say that sucks. I'm going to say return this times. Nope, that's, I hate that I do it this way. Float height, if I can spell height, is equal to this. And then we'll return height, if I can spell height. And then we're going to say height times equals, I believe, fine. So we're going to have to say height plus equals property dot find property relative tooltip. Okay. Oh, sorry, I did that wrong. Editor GUI dot get property height. That. Okay. So that should get our text area at the appropriate length. Let's go ahead and then we're going to have to do this because of course we do. Position height minus 5? Why would I do that? Huh. That's curious, but okay. I am going to optimize this though, so we're going to say position.set instead of doing individual calculations like that. Because fun fact, if you're doing editor scripting, so positions are recs, which are immutable. They are structs after all. So that means that anytime you adjust any value on them, they will actually basically rebuild the entire thing as a data structure. So if you're doing multiple adjustments on a single rect, you don't want to do what I did before, which is where I said, position.x, then position.height. What you want to do is call rect.set, and then you can set all of those values at once and rebuild it once instead of multiple times. So that is actually something that will make a difference if you have a lot of elements that you are showing in, say, something like this, a reorderable list, because each one of these operations is a new bit of garbage that gets generated. So it's generally good to try and reduce that as much as possible. So we're going to go ahead and say position.set. I want position.x plus minus position.width. Yep. Plus position.width. And then we're going to say position.y, then position.width is fine, followed by position.height minus 5f. Okay. So that should do the exact same thing as what those two lines did. It does suck because it's a little bit longer-winded to type that, but at the end of the day, it is more performant, so that usually ends up trumping everything else. Exams in 2 weeks. Well, it is that time of year. But then at least you have summer. To be young again. I miss having summer vacation. Sadly, that all stops pretty much around college. It's hard to say when exactly in college that stops, because like my freshman year of college, I would say I had a summer vacation, even though I still did work, but it was very, very lax work, very easy to do, very low demand, or not very demanding on me. Anyway, so we're going to let that compile, which is probably actually going to throw all of this fun stuff off. Oh, no, it won't, because, oh dear, that's not okay. Well, actually, hold on. Great. So let's come back here. Let's find all references. Come back over to here. Because I thought that draw element was a correct value. Like I thought it properly updated. But maybe it doesn't. Let's find out, I guess. Because I would have expected this property height to have adjusted that. Definition. Yeah. All right. Well, let's just go ahead and do this. So we're going to go ahead and say position.set, position.x minus position.width, followed by position.y plus position.height plus editor GUI utility dot standard vertical spacing, Then position dot width times 2f followed by position dot height. Oh, nope, sorry. Editor GUI dot get property height property dot find property relative. Oops. And tooltip. Okay. So for this, we're going to call editor GUI dot property field position followed by property dot find property relative. Blah blah blah. Tooltip. Yep. Okay, let's see if that draws properly. If we're lucky, it will just automatically shove everything down. If we're not lucky, then it's going to draw over everything, which will be ugly and unfortunate. I'm not scared for any of the exams except Netherlands. What do you mean? Like an exam about the Netherlands? Or an exam about. Would it be Swedish? I actually don't know what they speak in the Netherlands. I thought it was Swedish. Crap. Yep, it's that. Which means that this is not. So this is either not getting me what I want, or this rect is utterly incompetent. Do layout list. Find all references. Let me see. I know I do this a couple of times. Let's go ahead and try and do this in a way that is not actually terrible. Sentence structure editor, sentence structure editor, sentence structure editor. That's not really giving me much here. So I don't even remember what this is for. Huh. Huh. I do not recall what this was for. Oh, I bet this was Markov chains, if I had to guess.